Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
He is one of the best in the business, the outstanding Nate Bauer. Sir, welcome.
Hey, what's going on?
I don't know. It's I'm sure it's been an interesting 48 hours for you.
It has. It has. People...
Because you have a lot of contact online with...
Sure.
About maybe a dozen individuals.
Yeah. The the tried and true practice of the whatever it is, right? The couple hundred Penn State basketball fans, the people who are following the program and live and die with it, welcomed a wide swath of Penn State fans, right? Football fans who like to check in on basketball when there's, kind of a relevant game. And in no way, I don't want this to sound demeaning to them because I get it, right? Like you understand traditionally where that fits in terms of their priorities. But certainly there was some backlash and some frustration over what those folks saw on Sunday night. And we had to hash it out over the last couple of days.
Would it be safe for me to say that they were not enamored?
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. Is look, and you know this, the struggle that I have in communicating is the notion that a program's identity is something that spans years, right? So what happened in 2008 has relevance today in 2023, and I object to that. Right? I don't think that those things necessarily matter in terms of the actual in-game experience, and so being able to close out a big lead is just I get it how it kind of worms its way into people's memory as something that has happened in the past, and it has, but in a lot of ways they're forgetting about all of the years, and I don't know if this sounds any better, but all of the years where Penn State was losing by 20 points a game, right? Like where every game out was an uphill climb. This isn't that. What happened on Sunday is not necessarily reflective of things that have happened in the past. But for people who haven't been watching this team this season and who don't know some of the history that has happened this season of a team that struggles when its offense isn't clicking to play defense well, right? Or a team that when it struggles to find a second and third scorer has problems. Those are things that have been consistent throughout this season. But if you're just checking in for the first time, or maybe for the most recent time since, say, Purdue at the Palestra, then yeah, you're thinking to yourself, oh, here it is, same old story. Every time I watch, it's a loss,
Well, as somebody who's seen almost every game for 41 years, I could never seem to convey to people that every team is an entity unto itself.
Correct.
Even when there's because of the comings and goings of coaches, players, and so forth, you're an entity unto yourself, as are the teams you're playing at the time.
Yep.
I know I did talk to Joe Lenardi yesterday. I have read what from CBS. Jerry Palm, and what he put out. He's got Penn State closer than Joe does right now. Mm-hmm. Look, but it's fluid, and everybody has to understand that it changes by the day. There'll be a new update tomorrow morning at 9 based on tonight's games.
Yep. It's look, they need to win basketball games. That's the bottom line. Does Sunday night eliminate them? Is it an elimination game? No, it's not. And frankly, Wednesday night isn't an elimination game. This is not a scenario either where you know that they're the last place in the Big Ten, and the only way to get to the NCAA tournament is to win the conference tournament. This is not any of that. But what happens is that outcome of needing to win the conference tournament becomes more and more a reality every game that they lose here down the stretch. So if Wednesday night is a loss, does that mean it's over? No, it doesn't. They still have Maryland win that one, and then maybe get to Saturday. You probably need to get to Saturday at least to see yourself working your way back into the conversation on the bubble. Win Wednesday night and win on Sunday, and now you probably feel pretty good. That one win, maybe, depending on who you play. Like you said, it's all over the map, because depending on where Penn State finishes in that muck in the middle of the conference standings, if they're 11 and have to play 14 Minnesota or Ohio State on the first day of the tournament, that does nothing for you.
Right.
That hurts you, in fact. And so it's just all about placement, right? They need to win. This is it. They got to start winning. They're going to have 2 games to do it. And a variety of things can happen between now and Selection Sunday.
Yeah, I'll give everybody an example. For Joe Lenardi, one of the teams he has ahead of Penn State is Charleston. Well, just let everybody know the fluidity of this. Charleston would be the favorite to win the Colonial Tournament. And as the number 1 seed, if they were to win it, you put a line through that one right away and you move up one. So that shows. I only use that as an example of the fluidity of it. This is one of the best offenses in the country.
Yep.
And of all the times for it to go south, Sunday night was that moment.
Yep.
When you talked to the players yesterday, had a chance to hear from Micah yesterday, what was the thought process?
Shake it off, right? I mean, I'm not sure that there's anything else to do. And there's probably an argument to be made, I would make it, that this has been an excellent group to that end, right? I kind of said it earlier today, they have a short memory when it comes to one game to the next. They're able to compartmentalize the loss or the win, whatever it is, the outcome, and get back to work. And that's what they said yesterday is hey, get back in the gym. Seth Lundy back in the gym literally after the game on Sunday night. Miles Dredd, Andrew Funk, you name it, getting back in the gym and getting work in as shooters. The issue for them this season is they struggle with having a short memory in the context of the span of a game. They don't have a short memory for that. And so when things start to go south, when shots aren't falling, they are – I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this has been pretty well established at this point this season. Like they're just a very fragile team. They're very mentally on the precipice, right, that it can go either way. When they feel good, they feel great, and shots just go. They can light it on fire from deep, especially. Pickett can get it going from anywhere. But if it's not, it's like a slow-moving cancer of just, this doesn't feel good, everything's going wrong, and the shots just kind of disappear. And it's particular to defenses that they face that have been able to be very physical on the perimeter. If they're facing a physical defense, a defense that's going to get up into you at the arc, they have been in trouble this season. It has been really something that they've struggled to overcome, and I think that you saw that again on Sunday.
Well, I think a lot of it, if this were a Big 12 or a Pac-12 philosophy, or even the SEC, even the ACC, they'd be fine. But because it's the Big Ten, and they allow, I mean, there's one play in particular, baseline, Pickett goes into traffic. Okay, so he's in a tough spot, and he put himself in that tough spot. I mean, he put himself there, but he got pinballed.
Yep.
He went left, got hit. He went right, he got hit, and he got called for traveling. Hey, yo, over here, that's a foul, and that's a foul. Okay, in any other conference except this one, and that is an issue because of how the games are called. It is not conducive to how Penn State plays.
Not at all. It is not conducive, and it's something that I think bears itself out come tournament time. Right? Is some of the things that are permissible that don't translate on the broader national scale come back to haunt the Big Ten. And you see that in some of its results in the NCAA tournament over the last 20, 30 years. So, I don't know necessarily what place that has in the conversation for today and what Penn State is dealing with, but they're going to see another physical team in Northwestern. They're going to see another good defensive team on
right.
Wednesday
and
night.
That's the Chris Lowry. That has always been his philosophy. Hey, keep going at him like that until they call it. That has always been really the way he's gone about it, and that's how Northwestern has played.
Yep.
And look, it's not a foul if they don't call it.
Yep.
It's like pass interference. Right? You can grab and grab and grab. They don't call it. It's not pass interference.
Does it not remind you in so many ways of the Dom Brown, Michigan, put your corners on an island and make them make the call? Right? That's what they're banking on. That is how a good percentage of the teams in the Big Ten want to play basketball. They're going to say, "Hey, you're not going to call this every trip down the floor." And so until you do, this is what we're going to do. And really, it was a combination effect I felt on Sunday of, yes, Penn State was being fouled, that was not being called, and Penn State didn't have any answers on top of it. Penn State wasn't swinging the ball enough. Right. Penn State wasn't attacking the rim enough. And so when you compound those two things, Rutgers had no reason to get out of what it was doing defensively. Right. And so they kept with it. And, I mean, credit to them for having the wherewithal, right, the stick-to-itiveness to keep after it. You know, it was a long game for them, but they got it done.
Okay, just to clarify for everybody, Penn State lost the game because of Penn State.
Yeah.
I'm only bringing up the broader picture of the way the game is called is going to affect how Penn State plays this game tomorrow and whether they can figure out a way to make a team pay for playing that way.
The reality is Seth Lundy hits a couple of three-pointers, and that is the solution. that is
exactly.
The payment. Right, Kebajai being able to wrangle one of the passes to him inside. Cam Winter or Kanye Clary got to the basket, had a great look high off the glass, didn't go in. There were people. I see the commentary after the game of, all they did was chuck threes in the second half, and that's not accurate. That's not accurate. They tried. There were things that they tried to do. Could they have done them more? Probably. But when you see Mikey Henn try to get the ball, or was it Mikey or was it Miles? But one of them had a turnover just trying to get the ball back to Pickett in the post.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just this cycle of you're throwing anything at the ball at that point, and none of it was sticking.
Well, darn well most commentaries done in generalities. Anyway,
of course.
Yeah.
But if it's just interesting running through I rewatched the second half this afternoon or this morning, and you see it. It becomes very stark. It's like, oh, hey, this isn't exactly what happened. What happened was Rutgers had some really key offensive rebounds, some really key three-point shots, right? Like just different things that were happening, little things that on their own may not have seemed like the biggest deal, especially when Penn State was up by 15 or up by 12 or up by 8. But once it got to that point in the game, I mean, they were only up by 6 points with 6 minutes to play. That is far from being a blowout. This idea that they just totally gacked up and puked on themselves, it just is not accurate.
Actually, you know what I felt was the biggest single shot of the game? And I felt it at the time, and when the game was over, I felt that way. When Penn State was up 19, Penn State got into a defensive rotation, and one player that will remain nameless, right, got lost.
Yep.
And then did a flyby of Cam Spencer, and then Spencer hit the three in the corner.
Yep.
And it seemed to relax Rutgers when he did that. They changed their personality because it went to a timeout after that, and it seemed to change their personality in the game. And I think it made that play made a difference for them emotionally.
I completely agree. Completely agree. They got to the free throw line after that. They were just offensively. They made some tough shots. They did hit some tough shots, but I also saw Penn State defense that also relaxed. Right? They were sloppy. It just was not a necessarily. I mean, it depends on what you're looking at this season, right? Because I would like to say, oh, it's not a characteristic performance, but in some ways it is. In some ways it has been the MO of this team this season.
Yeah, we've seen it. Dick and I have talked about that. Dick and I have talked about that in the broadcast the other night. I mean, we've been open about protecting leads and so forth. I just felt in the end the offense eventually affected the defense.
Yep, complete agreement.
And now they've got Northwestern. And in talking to Brandon Gowden yesterday, because Brandon did the Maryland Northwestern game, and he told me that when he talked with Chris Collins, he said his team's relaxed because for the first time ever, they know they're going into March and they're in.
Yep. Right. So what does that mean for Penn State though? Are you going to see a team that is playing loose and just says, "Hey, we're going to do this"? I mean, this is senior night for them. I believe they're on the road against Rutgers to close the season, so it's their last home game. What are they going to do, right? What are they going to show? I mean, I think it's probably one of two things for Penn State. You're either going to enter a hornet's nest where they're saying, hey, we win either way, might as well go all out, or one that could potentially, I'm not going to say pack it in, but become disinterested if it's a hard-fought challenge to get back into a game. Penn State could produce a big lead in this type of a game. It would seem to set up potentially well for them, but also, given what just happened for Penn State, it's hard to say that, right? It's hard to say that at this point in the season. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm about an hour from getting on the plane, so we'll see.
Yeah. Should be a good one. I'm very interested to see what happens because the way that Micah Shrewsbury has framed this in terms of his leadership and what he sees as his responsibility in the aftermath of the way that loss happened on Sunday is very striking to me. Hey, that game is in the past. Like, forget that game. But handle it and learn what you need to learn. I mean, no doubt in practice yesterday, practice today, they have been working on the blitz and the high hedge, right? The hard hedge. Like, they're going to have to figure that out. They have to learn how to be able to have an answer to that, to counter it. But, he's also being very positive and just saying, hey, you still have another opportunity. You still have more opportunities to take advantage.
Hey, and that's the NBA mentality when you're sitting there with 82 games.
Yep.
You just can't sit there and go, oh, woe is me. Guess what? We got the Spurs next. Let's go.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. We'll get into the NIL thing maybe the next time we talk.
Sounds good. I'm always up for it. Always.
Yeah. Well, no, but it's going to be important moving forward because the bottom line is, I know as uncomfortable, especially as some of the mid to older fans are, who grew up in a way college sports happens to be, here's the bottom line. You either adapt or you lose.
Yep.
Right? And that includes basketball.
For the next 5 years. this is the bridge time until unions and collective bargaining happen.
Right.
But
and once that happens, there'll be parameters.
Yep.
I mean, it's really weird when the NFL and the NBA have better rules than college sports does when it comes to such things.
Yep, and it's over the top. I mean, it's not even close now. I mean, the NCAA is a disaster for everyone. Players, coaches, personnel, staff, you name it. It's a total mess in both sports, and they've got to be able to get it handled, and it seems like the options for how to handle it are diminishing.
And we will talk about that next time, sir. Once I yank you off a golf course. All right.
Spring is here.
You, sir. Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.